Hi guys, Olive here. Happy New Year, or Happy New Decade, really. I am here today to talk to you about the books I am planning to read in January of 2020. It is definitely winter here in Pittsburgh right now, and when it is cold outside, I like to go to the dark side, in case you can't tell that by my outfit right now. I like my lipstick dark, and I like my books dark when it's cold. But beyond just picking dark books in the month of January, I'm also hoping to get a good head start on fiction. I'm trying to learn from those fiction struggles I was experiencing at the end of 2019. Between being a judge for the nonfiction category of the BookTube Prize and my own natural inclination toward nonfiction, I would really like to start off this year with a firm fiction footing. Alliteration. So let's start talking about the books. First and foremost, I am joining a book club. We are launching a book club at my job. I will be reading books with my coworkers. It is super exciting for me. I have not been involved with an in-person book club in such a long time. Our very first pick is going to be The Lonely Hearts Hotel by Heather O'Neill, which is all about two orphans who travel around together performing, but then they are separated as teenagers and they descend into the magical but gritty underworld of Montreal. This was nominated for the Women's Prize back in 2017, back when it was still the Bailey's Prize, and I have been super interested in this book ever since everyone was reading this book, talking about it, reviewing it way back when. I am so curious to see what our entire group ends up thinking about this one. I'm also finally getting around to reading Geek Love by Katherine Dunn, which is all about a family who call a traveling circus home, and they absolutely detest anything normal. And as such, they use some pretty shifty techniques to create children with physical disabilities and deformities. With such a synopsis, you would definitely expect this one to be at least a little bit twisted, and I've definitely heard that this one is complex and oftentimes disturbing. But ever since I first heard about this book, I think it was back in 2014 that I heard about it for the first time, I've wanted to at least give it a try. And the time has finally come this month. Next up is a magical wintry tale that has been on my TBR for far too long. That book is called The Girl with Glass Feet by Ali Shaw. I actually mentioned that this one was going to be on my January TBR in the 10-year challenge book tag I did a couple weeks back, since this one was published in 2009. This book is set on an island and a young girl is slowly turning into glass. I think a wintry book in the wintertime is a pretty safe bet. Next up, I have two new fiction releases due to be published in the month of January that I'm hoping to read and review. The first is one I requested on NetGalley. It is called Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez. This is a YA book. It has been far too long since I've picked up some YA. The main character of this book is a young woman who is actually posing as a leader of a group of people who have been driven out of their homeland by a false king. Every single person in this group of people has a special talent that has to do with the moon in some kind of way, and our main character has the ability to weave moonlight into tapestries in order to deliver messages for the resistance. The whole book takes inspiration from Bolivian politics and history. This sounds like totally my kind of thing. And then the other new release that I'm planning to read during the month of January was one that I was sent completely unsolicited by FSG. That was a very nice surprise, but that book is called Saltwater by Jessica Andrews. This is a coming-of-age tale that shows a young woman separating from her mother and going through different family struggles as she tries to establish herself in the world. As I was paging through this, I definitely noticed that it has a more experimental structure to it. I'm normally a little bit iffy about that, but I did see one reviewer say that this reads kind of like a journal, and when I was paging through, I did like what I saw, so I am going to give this one a try and see how I like it, hopefully enough to give it a review. My last fiction book that I'm planning to take on in January is a pick off of my brand new classics TBR that I just recently talked about. This month, I am hoping to read The Custom of the Country by the one and only Edith Wharton. It seems like this one is about a greedy Midwestern social climber in New York City who makes for an absolutely loathsome main character. But despite that fact, I'm really excited for this one, mainly because The House of Mirth ranked on my top fiction books of 2019 list. But then of course, I do have a few nonfiction books that I'd like to read during the month. It wouldn't be one of my TBRs if there weren't some nonfiction on it. Off of my new 5-star nonfiction predictions list, I will be reading The Snow Leopard by Peter Matheson. This is more of a classic work of nonfiction that is all about a man who treks across the Himalayas hoping to catch a glimpse of the notoriously rare snow leopard. This is one that I knew I had to read when it was just bitterly cold outside, so I guess I will be traveling to the Himalayas this month via this book. And then how much more wintry can you get in the winter than reading a book that has winter in the title, so I'm also hoping to read Ravens in Winter by the famous nature writer Bernd Heinrich, which is all about these incredibly intelligent birds. This time last year, I was reading the memoir of the current Raven Master at the Tower of London, so apparently this is just my season to read about these birds. I am very excited about this one. And then finally, I'm going to pick a book off of my books that have been on my TBR the longest list, and this month I am choosing The Violinist's Thumb by Sam Keen. This is a book all about DNA and genetics. I actually think it puts the science in the context of some wild stories from history. I absolutely love reading about genetics, and it will be so nice to finally read this one after it has spent years on my virtual Goodreads shelves. So those are the books that I'm planning to read in January of 2020. I'm definitely hoping to start off the year strong. Please let me know if you've heard of any of these books, if you've read any of them, or if you're now curious about them after hearing me talk about them. I would love to hear that, or any other general comments or questions you may have down in the comment section below. But if you'd prefer to reach out to me somewhere other than YouTube, I am on a variety of different places on social media, and the links to all those profiles are in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.